Well, thank you very much. Well, Bob Dole, who you may have heard about, he's in the news, running for president. She's behind in the polls by quite a bit, trying to make it up for it and doing some different things. He said yesterday that he's going to change the name of his plane. It was Leadership when he was leader of the Senate. He said he's no longer that. So they're changing the name of the plane to, I don't think this is going to work, the Old Fart. I don't know. Yeah, he is rather behind in the polls, and they brought that up to him yesterday, the press did, and he said, hey, this is May, I'd be nervous if this was September. And he said, anyway, it's a moot point until somebody invents a calendar based on the Earth's rotation around the sun. He's an old man. Well, President Clinton had a sad task yesterday. He had to give the eulogy for Admiral Borda, who we all know had the tragedy happen last week, and because he apparently killed himself because he was wearing medals that he wasn't supposed to, and he said he didn't want to embarrass the Navy. Like the top admiral killing himself wouldn't embarrass the Navy. Also, it was reported that police around the country now are using what they say are less than lethal weapons like sticky foam, which is also good on a cruller, by the way, if you use this less than lethal sticky foam, because, you know, nothing cuts down on crime like taking the danger out of it. Yeah. Now, J.C. Penney is in trouble. The Labor Department is investigating them. They say J.C. Penney is guilty of selling goods that were made in sweatshops by underpaid and underage people. And Penney's officials, kind of a silly concept to begin with, but Penney's officials said today they were going to do everything to solve this. First off, they're going to try to get these kids to stop sweating so much. Please. Well, here's some good news in the fight against the most scary disease we have. They have found out that there is a gel that fights HIV that has worked in monkeys. They tried it on 5 monkeys, worked on every one, female monkeys, worked on every one of them, which is really good news because monkeys have a hell of a time putting on a condom. They are... No, the monkeys, apparently, really, this works on monkeys. And scientists described it as an important step in HIV research, and Michael Jackson described it as crisp with a fruity bouquet. So anyway, stick around. It's all been satirized for your... Welcome to the show, and let's meet our very special panel. First, an explorer of the secret society, the Illuminati, and author of My Life After Death, Robert Anton Wilson. Robert, nice to see you. Have a seat. A regular on Comedy Central and soon to be seen in theaters everywhere in the new film, The Cable Guy, David Cross. Hey, buddy. Thanks for coming. He helps keep a generation from spinning out of control. Spin Magazine's founding father, Bob Guccione Jr. Hey, Bob. Good to see you. And as a member of the Mamas and the Papas, she brought us California Dreamin' and Monday, Monday and other great songs. As an actress, she was a regular on Hotel and Knots Landing. Michelle Phillips. How are you? Good to see you. Thank you very much for coming. Okay, first of all, I want to thank you, Bob, for coming here at the last minute.
Oh, my pleasure.
But it was very fortuitous that you were in town, because this was supposed to be a show that Timothy Leary was going to do with us, and we invited some of his friends on, because, as you know, I'm not talking out of school here, he is, unfortunately, at death's door. And he has been plugging it. So we're not... I've never seen a guy plug his death, but
he's
Tim...
He's a real party animal, you know? He's really intent on making this, like, lots of fun for him and all of his friends.
That's why I thought this would be a fun thing, but unfortunately today was one of those days that he just couldn't make it. So we're really sad about that. But I think
But if you're going to have an excuse, you know.
Yeah.
And now we're all going to sit shiver on national TV for him, and he's not even dead yet. That's delivering, correct?
Yes, but
Tim believes everything should be fun. When he was in prison, I used to visit him fairly regularly to cheer him up. And every time he cheered me up, I come away from prison wondering, why did he cheer me up? I went there to cheer him up. And it's the same now that he's dying. I go to visit him to cheer him up, and instead he cheers me up. He regards everything as an opportunity for more delight in the mystery and immensity of the universe and the incredible powers of his own mind, which never cease to amaze him. And never cease to amaze me either. When they put him in solitary confinement, he said it was one of the highest experiences of his life. He had no conversation except with the most intelligent person he knew.
Him.
well, I guess we probably should, for people who are not of a certain age who don't remember, give a little biography of Timothy Leary. I mean, I've known him for 10 years. I flatter myself to think he agreed to do this show because he harbored some affection for me and because we did have some fun together. But, no. No, intellectual fun. That's what we have. But for those who don't know, he was a professor at Harvard, and in the 60s, he became a cultural icon by championing LSD. And after that, he was arrested and hounded by the government, spent time in jail. In fact, in this LA Weekly that did
well, it was a very serious crime. Poor usage of the First Amendment. Always gets you in trouble.
Why did he go to prison? I don't remember why he went. I just remember that he escaped.
Yeah, that's right.
I like that.
Escape story I like, yeah.
Well,
he showed me a map once. He showed me a map once of how to get out. I said, well, I really hope I never use it. But thank you.
But that map,
serious.
But that map was dosed with LSD. That's how you get out. Let's not forget that.
I should have kept the map.
Well, technically, he went to prison for possession of 1 joint of marijuana.
Right.
For which he got 37 years.
He and Candy Bar, right?
A very strange penalty, considering that it was 6 months usually in those days. The judge on sentencing him said his ideas were a danger to society, which is why the Swiss government gave him asylum as a political fugitive after he climbed over the walls. And
what
escaped.
prison was he in?
I forget which prison that
Upstate
was,
New York?
but it was, no, it was in California.
But he actually climbed over the wall of the prison?
They gave him the Leary interpersonal diagnostic test, which he had designed back at Stanford. It's a test to measure 64,000 personalities. And he answered all the questions, so he came out as docile, easily led, looking for leadership. So they put him in a minimum security prison, and he climbed a rope and went to...
Okay, we have to take a break, but we're going to be talking about Tim throughout the hour. Thanks.
Dream On is an exploration of one man's struggle to comprehend the churning miasma of late 20th century existence. That and more sex per episode than almost every other show on TV combined. Share the journey Monday through Thursday nights at 10 here at Comedy Central.
Are you sure you can handle this?
Absolutely. Making one frozen tropical drink isn't easy.
A frozen peach or frozen strawberry?
Got it.
Give me a watermelon.
Got it. Making everyone's favorite drink is impossible.
Hey, what's with the strawberry?
Got it. It's why we made Tropical Freezes. Every kind of frozen drink with everything in them, including the alcohol.
Don't got it.
Tropical Freezes. It's already ready already.
It's a trip to paradise, and this man has lost his vacation money. And so has he. This man was carrying cash. But he insisted on American Express traveler's checks. So while he had nobody to turn to, this man called the people at American Express as he tried to contact someone back home. With just one phone call, American Express can refund your lost or stolen traveler's checks just about any time, any place. Don't take chances. Take American Express traveler's checks.
You can project light in any direction, but unless it's focused, you can't see clearly. That's why Infinity employed special projector beam headlights for the J30 to safely focus light where you need it. The J also has dual airbags, ABS, and seatbelt pretensioners, but you're less likely to need them if you see the light.
It's a free country. If I want to give interviews, I'll give interviews. You know what your problem is? You're too modest. Hey, I give good quotes, and you can print that on the front page. Anthony Hardaway, best player in basketball, guarantees championship. Guaranteed.
You can't say stuff like that.
Let me just tell
All
you
right?
this. I'm an integral
Little Penny.
part of the Magic organization. Now, Penny is the team leader, but I'm the choreographer for the Magic dance. Get you a job if you want. Hey, ooh, whoa, Penny, stop the car. That was Tyra Banks, fool.
Write to us at Politically Incorrect, 7800 Beverly Boulevard, Los Angeles, California, 90036.
Okay. We are talking about Timothy Leary today, who was supposed to be here, but he tuned in and dropped out at the last minute because there are so many things I wanted to ask him. Maybe one of you can answer this one I was going to ask him, which is, I was not at Woodstock, but I always wanted to know what was wrong with the brown acid.
I don't know if there was anything. I don't know if I wasn't at Woodstock myself, but I was at Monterey Pop, and there we had Sunshine, Owsley Sunshine, and there was nothing wrong with it at all.
Wasn't, you know what?
Yeah, and
I think what was wrong with the brown acid was that was the stuff that Shauna Na had made. That was stuff they brought. Very weak, very weak.
Right, and you know, I might say it's a bit of a public service announcement, not that I'm the one to make this, but, you know, kids on colleges all the time now talk about acid. Oh, we did acid. Tim himself told me, there has not been acid. Any of you kids out there who think you're doing acid, you're doing a bunch of You're doing a bunch of strychnine and speed and God knows what. Not that maybe acid was a good thing, and that could ruin lives.
Well, wait a minute.
Okay, well, maybe it was. But I'm just saying, what you said, that original batch of acid, what they called the Owsley acid, that was the acid, and when that was gone, it was gone. And Tim couldn't get it. And if he couldn't get it, believe me, you kids are not doing acid.
Well, but wait a second. Isn't it on record, the recipe for acid, the way it was discovered? And I mean, I've had plenty of acid that was great. I'm not kidding. I'm not trying to be funny. I've had plenty of...
You're on some now,
It was
right?
not acid.
You're actually on some now.
It was not acid. It was not that LSD, whatever that formula is. That disappeared. They never...
No, you know what? That's not true, because you know what? 2 years ago, I found something that somebody gave me in my purse. I mean, I had completely forgotten that it was there. And it was on blotter paper and everything. And
somebody gave her. You know?
And it was Halloween, big full moon, and...
Usually women have a lint ball or a flower ball in the bottom of their purse. You have acid. That's interesting.
So I split it with my friend, and let me tell you something. It was the real thing. It was the real thing.
Maybe it was there from 20 years ago. Maybe that's the thing.
It could have been. That's
This
true.
show is disintegrating into true confession.
Yeah.
You know, we're all going to get arrested on the way out the door.
Well, I want to make it clear, I haven't used acid in over 2 days. And it's great to be, it's great to be clean. I want you to know that.
You may it last. I hope it lasts for you. You know, I've never done drugs, and this was the big argument with Timothy the first time I met him. And then he realized I'd never used a computer. And he said, how is it I liked you? You've never smoked a joint and you never turned on a computer. I said, well, you can turn me on to one of those things.
What planet were you raised on?
Catholicism, I don't know.
Oh.
But no, I never liked smoking, so I never got into pot. And the other stuff I didn't really get into as an extension.
But it's completely different. Acid is completely different than pot. Vastly different than every other drug out there. I mean, it is.
There's nothing like it.
I have some literature. I have some literature.
Tim would be proud right now. I'm sorry, he's not here to participate. But
he's here in spirit. Clearly.
Yes, he is.
I think
he'll always be here in spirit. But now we were talking about acid, and of course there is probably going to be a long, long time when that name, Timothy Leary, is associated, as it is today, with acid, and that's all people see. And that's really quite a shame, because, I mean, if you had to say what part of his life was acid, it was a part of it, but, I mean, what this man thought and did, and all the areas he went into, it really was a small part, wasn't it?
I really believe that what he was trying to do in the 60s when he was a professor at Harvard, he realized that the drug had an enormous potential for
Fun?
well, fun and partying, yeah. But besides that, but for
memory loss?
For expanding people's minds and for
Yes.
delving into people's psyche, and that's what he wanted to do.
Yes.
And he was demonized because he wanted to experiment with a drug that really scared. I mean, let's face it, the CIA was using it.
Yes.
The CIA invented it, I think. As a
They did.
they?
the drug they
Even
used.
more than
they
that.
wanted to do it on the
See,
operatives.
they're not all bad.
On the foreign operatives, yeah. Exactly, yeah. They've resented it ever since, you know.
It's also about his taking a stand for something which was very difficult to take in the time he did it. I mean, we can get up on this show now and sit here and talk. This is going to go out over national television. We're talking about I took acid. You couldn't do that back then. And for him to do that and take that stance and still and never back down is really admirable.
It really is. He's a very honest man.
And he did the time for it.
I know about 150 psychologists, at least, who will say in private that they agree with Leary that LSD is the most powerful behavior change agent ever discovered, accelerates psychotherapy tremendously, maybe the most beneficial drug ever discovered. They will never say it in public.
Right.
Because they all remember they threw his ass in jail for saying
That's
that.
right.
So why should anybody else take
And even
the
to
risk?
the end, it was reported in several publications what he does, even during his sickness. I have a list of what he does on a daily basis. You've probably seen
I've
it. You've
seen
been
it,
there.
yeah, it's great.
3 cups of coffee, 36 cigarettes, 4
The little
champagnes, 1 brownie,
microwave.
12
That was
nitrous
lunch.
oxide canisters, 3 lines of cocaine, 4 Leary biscuits. Has this guy ever just tried NyQuil? I mean,
It would kill him.
He really doesn't need to do 3 cups of coffee. That's ridiculous.
yeah, I agree. Okay, we have to take a break. We'll be
If you'd like to be a member of our studio audience in Hollywood, call 213-852-2655.
You're watching Politically Incorrect with Bill Maher here at Comedy Central. At 11:30, watch a classic episode of Saturday Night Live.
I had this car, so I took a picture. It's not just a car, it's a gremlin. So this girl at the Photoshop said,
Wow, it'll only take a minute to make a copy.
dig it. She makes an enlargement of the Gremster, then says,
Is this a dent?
no. Yes.
I could do a little body work on it and put your shots on photo CD.
Dig it. So, she retouched the thing on the door. Then I went home and logged into the Grem Lovers party room and met a Grem-digging Finn named Liska.
Howdy, Grimster.
Meanwhile, Dad comes home and crashes into Grem Puppy. And this insurance guy comes out with a Kodak digital camera and shoots my hurting Grem child.
We got it. Okay, we'll
Then, right there from his insurance man van, he finds me a quarter panel from Cowboy Bob in Lubbock, Texas, who's on my door.
Howdy, Grimster.
Saying he wants to buy Honey McGrem from me. Cool. How much?
Enough to go to college. Enough to go to college and buy a cheeseburger. Enough to go to welding school, buy a cheeseburger, and fly to Finland.
Dig it. So like I said, I had this car, so I took a picture.
On any given episode of Dream On, Martin Tupper gets more action than our combat troops have seen in the last 200 years.
I think we could use some pudding here.
Tossed up.
Tune in as Tupper turns on, Monday through Thursday nights at 10 here at Comedy Central. Want to go online with Comedy Central? Here's the address, http://comcentral.com. Log on to go behind the scenes, enter contests, download video, and lots more. So get down, dirty, and interactive at the only all-comedy website. Not every person in Dr. Kat's life has problems. Meet his son, Ben.
Ben? Yeah. Don't get Fruit Loops on my bed, please. Sorry.
Meet his receptionist, Laura.
The doctor does not sell gift certificates.
And his friend, Stanley.
Cats, listen.
Yeah.
We both know what you need.
Which is?
Which is a little,
Oh, you're talking about something.
Get to know Dr. Katz, professional therapist, Sundays at 10, only at Comedy Central.
Email politically incorrect at pi@cis.compuserve.com.
Okay, we were talking about Timothy Leary today, and somehow the subject of drugs slipped into the discussion.
Took me by surprise.
Let me just take the devil's advocate position, because I've been with Tim a few times on the street where I, have people come up to him, and most of it's positive, but once in a while somebody says, it's all very well for you to say you took acid, but, I had a tragedy. We all can't handle it as well as you can. And I was in San Francisco recently, and I went to the Haight-Ashbury district, which, if the kids don't know, was where that whole Summer of Love thing happened and where the kind of the epicenter of hippiedom. And I'm telling you, it's sad now. I mean, those old hippies are now heroin addicts, slumped in doorways, arguing about who stole whose wake-up.
Yeah, but you see, that is a very big difference. There's a very big difference in doing acid and dropping and shooting heroin.
Yes, but I'm saying they
heroin.
got to heroin perhaps from the acid.
Oh, please.
I think there is an extension. I think people do jump on that.
You look at the CIA research before Leary's, and they had people going paranoid, jumping out of windows, committing suicide. This is how Leary developed the theory that the effect of LSD depends upon the set and the setting. You give people LSD in a proper setting, and you can make very beneficial behavior changes. You give them LSD in a bad setting, and you can get a lunatic out. But Leary was trying to teach people how to use it scientifically, and it's not his fault that a lot of people didn't understand the scientific...
I think that's too fine a distinction because the setting. I think there is potential for danger, and I've argued this with Tim many times. I said, maybe your physiology...
No, you've never taken it.
Well, he said the same thing.
But you know what?
He said the same thing, but I think this, in honesty, being serious for a second, I think there are people who had one shot at it and went through plate glass windows and aren't here today.
Well,
and I think there is definitely potential. A lot of people use guns safely,
The Mamas and the Papas took it every day on the beach in the Virgin Islands, and we snorkeled in a beautiful coral reef with tropical fish swimming by.
And you never left the hotel.
And
and the hotel was in New Jersey.
No, we were living in tents, actually. We were living in tents, and we never had a bad trip. And I think that I already knew. First of all, we were taking acid that was legal at the time, that was supplied by pharmaceutical firms. I'm not sure who, but somebody did.
Yeah.
And wait, acid that was legal?
Yeah. Yes, acid was legal for years until they found that people were having some fun with it.
Right.
And then, boom. Same thing happened to ecstasy. The minute they found out about ecstasy, boom, it's illegal.
Right.
Yeah, but that makes ecstasy makes you listen to really bad music. So there is something there.
Marijuana was legal until 1937. Heroin was legal until 1927. Somehow the world survived these things up until a few decades ago. We decided we need to have laws against them.
You're talking about addictive drugs, and LSD is not an addictive drug.
No,
neither is marijuana.
No, I'm not. But in correlation to heroin or morphine or something like that, it's not an addictive drug, and taken responsibly. And yes, there is potential for danger, like
alcohol or
sure, absolutely.
Alcohol's not addictive either. Neither is driving a sports car too fast. But there are dangers if you drive it a little too fast.
Alcohol is very addictive.
And I think we just have to recognize that.
The Pope talks so much about sex, which he knows nothing about.
And he knows.
Tim is definitely here.
You know who the Pope
You're
is?
saying it would be better if the Pope was getting it on a regular basis.
The Pope,
if he was getting busy all the time.
Dave says he is. I don't know.
The Pope is the Ed Wood of theology. Everything that comes out of him, it's a mixture of surrealism and cliche, and he goes out in drag regularly. He has introduced the Ed Wood principle into religion.
Well, that is one way of looking at it. Of course, we don't look at it exclusively like that. But actually, we have an article.
You told me you took Tim to church the other day.
Yeah, I took Tim to church. It's
now,
funny.
He was never a churchgoer. Is this
not for 30 years?
A late in life conversion?
Yeah, late in life, very late. Yeah, like hours before. I honestly, at one point, he went to sleep at church, and I thought he's died. And I thought, oh dear, he's died. I'll have to kiss this old man in church. People will think I've just can't hold back my desire for him, but I'd have to actually give him mouth to mouth. But he didn't. He just fell asleep. And I thought, how appropriate. Actually, he did actually die here.
Why, after all these years and always doing...
It's fascinating, because we argued.
Church?
We argued. He used to tease me a little about going to church. He's respectful of faith, but he would tease a little about my lack of, openness about drugs, for instance. And I said to him, oh, come with me one day. And I took him back, and he came, and he said, that was enjoyable. I haven't been here for 30 years, And then the other day, he called me up, and he said, I'd like to go to church with you. It's very important to me now. And afterwards, I said, how did you like it? And he said, oh, I liked it a lot. It was very important. He said, the mystique, the mystery is very important. And, recently he was...
And he caught a few Z's, too.
Yeah, right, exactly, yeah. He caught a few C's in the car. He caught a few C's back in the house.
And he brought his own wafers.
Yeah.
That's probably... Okay, we have to take a break. We'll be back. One more.
Delta Burke hosts Saturday Night Live next.
And on that day, a team of men was assembled to battle the forces of evil.
Au revoir.
It's a hot world. Make sure you have a cool citrus drink.
Hi, Julie. We've been expecting you.
Todd, to reception. Please do have a guest.
Julie.
Hi, Todd.
Are you excited? What do you say we go look at your car?
I'd love it.
This is Julie, and this is her first new car.
Hi, sweetheart.
Old Squarehead laughed at my odd diamond head, but he couldn't clean better or more comfortably. So he left, and Peggy moved in.
Colgate Plus, the odd-looking, super-cleaning, comfy-feeling toothbrush.
Okay, tomorrow we're going to have Tim Green, Laura Ingraham, Chuck Booms, and Chuck Woolery. Now, we have just a little bit of time. I wanted to ask what Tim may have said to all of you that may have had some meaning. Once he said to me, I'll never forget this, he said, my favorite 3 words in English language are, I don't know. Because whenever I say it, I learn something. Which was him.
That's right.
Do you have one of those?
He signs that on his...
that whole thing?
I don't know.
Oh, he signs I don't know as an autograph?
Yes, as an autograph.
Mm-hmm.
But he told me that he loved me.
Oh.
And that's what he tells me every time I see him. And that's
enough.
And I love him too.
I think the thing that's not particularly well understood about Tim is he's a great Irish poet. He's a cross between Samuel Beckett and Marshall McLuhan. And he's also a great storyteller. I remember I was driving him one night, and I said, Tim, how come you don't have a car? He said, oh, I've driven for 60 years. I don't want to drive anymore. I said, oh, I forget how old he is. He said, yeah. He says, I lost my virginity in the back of a Model A Ford. And I said, whoa, that's history. And he'd won it gambling at college. He won it when the $35 bet couldn't be paid. He got the car.
Well,
classic.
Goodbye, friend.
You're watching Comedy Central.